Hello, divine souls. Welcome to the daily Pantheon reading at Soulfire Tarot with Dr. Christina Velderman. This is where myth and intuition weave together to bring growth, healing, and some divine guidance for our days. So let's take a deep breath together and let's see what spirit and the gods are whispering to us today. And so we start today with the card of Tiresias from my Pantheon deck as the Hierophant. Now, what's really interesting about this is that we actually had this card in combination with another just yesterday. And I shuffle and shuffle and shuffle, and this card came flying out at me after a whole bunch of shuffles. And I know enough with my guides at this point and the God energies that I'm channeling here that when they say, I want you to do this card again, I do this card again. There is a message here for us today. Now, when it was combined with Dionysus. So we were looking kind of at like sacred pranks, sacred tricksters, sacred experiments, that kind of piece. But let's look at Tiresias as an archetypal energy himself. So he was the prophet of Thebes, and he was said to have lived as both man and woman, and he was neither fully alive nor fully dead. He really occupied this in between place. So the story of that is when he was walking on a mountain, he saw two snakes getting it on, right? Mating. And he hit them or killed them. I think he killed them. And so one of the goddesses transformed him into a woman for 7 years to teach him a lesson about that. And it was when he encountered the snakes later, again, two mating snakes, and chose to spare them this time. He had learned the divine feminine embodiment of empathy and compassion for other beings, and that returned him to his male form. And so the idea of this is that it gave him a lot of extra insight, right, into just the divine mysteries of life. And then later, one of the gods struck him blind. Some people say it was Hera, some people say it was Athena. But the main thing is that something occurred. He was turned blind by a goddess, but he was given inner vision in exchange for losing his outer sight. So he was granted the capacity for prophecy, this long life, again, where he was not really fully living, but not fully dead either. He was that in between. And he gained understanding way beyond what most mortals, what most humans can have. So that made him a bridge between realms. Now, when we look at the Hierophant card, like archetypally, the Hierophant often has to do with like institutional authority. But when we see Tiresias as the Hierophant, we're really more looking at spiritual wisdom, at sacred traditions, at initiation into divine mysteries. Because Tiresias was a living teacher, the wisdom of the gods in someone who had been on both sides, who had seen both sides, who had become both sides. And so this is wisdom of the divine, but it came through transformation, not through hierarchy, not through a church ordaining him, but through his actual lived, embodied experience and empathy. So I think that's really what we're looking at here is this archetypal energy of the embodied mystic, of having been on both sides and finding this center place, this in between space that's transcending what we think of as the normal binary boundaries. So, this embodied mystic energy, this letting go of binaries, of false dualities. And let's see what clarifying cards we get today. And we're going to see if anybody jumps out. And if not, then I will cut in. But spirit, allies, gods, goddesses, ascended masters, there's one. What are the clarifying cards that would help to understand how this message is coming in to support us, our growth, our healing today, here toward the very end of October right now? One more card, please. One more card. And this energy, of course, I was just thinking of like contradictions, right? Beginnings and endings. And that's so much with Tiresias. And here we are once again with the death card. And we have the Four of Wands and the Page of Cups with the death card. How interesting. How interesting. Okay, so as we look at these three together, So let's start with the Four of Wands here. Four of Wands, like traditionally, it's celebration, it's coming together, it's harmony, just big achievements. You can see we're dancing with a friend, playing music outside the tent here, outside the community tent. So there's just a lot of joy and coming together and celebration in this. And I think we're really seeing here, in the context of the Hierophant, like a partnership or community, but connects to the divine specifically. Being in partnership with the divine, with your guides, and just allowing that. You don't have to understand everything. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I've been struggling with that today. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know everything and understand everything. You can just come together with the divine, with source, with universal energy, and trust that it's going to get you where you need to be. With our Page of Cups energy, Page of Cups is traditionally like innocence, a heartfelt message coming in, like emotional openness. It's a really soft, sweet kind of card. And you see here with this Page of Cups, kind of like dreaming with his heart. We've got these hearts here, and we've got a flying pig, over a cup. So it's just that idea of like wild dreams, right? Because we say when pigs fly to mean something that's nearly impossible, but sometimes the impossible very much does happen. So this Page of Cups is bringing in a curiosity, a vulnerable curiosity, a sweet curiosity, and openness to what is coming next. And learning kind of, I would say like emotional, when we combine these two together, like almost like emotional authenticity and connection within a little bit of that structure, and particularly within that relationship with the divine. Like, I hear a lot of times people saying stuff like, oh, if you think negative thoughts, you won't be able to manifest. You have to this, that, and the other, and it makes people afraid to be really authentic with themselves and with spirit about what you're actually feeling, about what's real in your life. And I want to encourage you, don't try to lie to yourself, and certainly don't try to lie to your guides, your spirits, your allies, gods or goddesses that you're channeling or working with. There's just no point. They know. And you're not ready. You're not ready to move to the next level if you're still lying, if you're not willing to be in authenticity, in reality. Now, it doesn't mean being a jerk, right? But it means being willing to acknowledge this is my state right now. And this is real. And I want to transform it. And I want to move through from it. Just like I was able to say, oh, yeah, I'm struggling today with really wishing I had more answers. But that's not what I have right now. That's not the path that I'm on right now. Right now, I'm in the place I'm in and I'm working with my guides. And so here, bringing this curious, innocent acceptance and vulnerability, letting life be surprising, letting love be surprising. We don't have to know it all. I mean, life would be so freaking boring if we knew everything ahead of time, right? And then we have the Death card, Rebirth card. The Death card is profound transformation, right? It's evolution, it's endings that lead to fresh beginnings. And I think, this is really kind of like clearing what doesn't serve our soul's growth anymore. Looking at this idea of having this faith and this connection and coming together around this embodied connection with the divine, where it doesn't have to be ordained. You don't have to have every single answer, know every single scripture, whatever, version of that aligns for you, but allowing this breakdown of these old systems, these old patterns, so that you can have a spiritual awakening, so that you can be in a place where you redefine what does a commitment to your soul's path actually mean to you? How can it transform? How can your relationship with your soul, with the divine, with any allies, guides, guardians that you work with, or if you don't yet work with them, with your just connection to a sense of something larger than yourself, how can that be transforming into something deeper and more trusting, ending the patterns that haven't worked for you so far? So I think this is really moving from like the old frameworks into this authentic and heart-led expression. This is, again, it's kind of an initiation. We talked about sacred experimentation yesterday, and I think we're here in this space of divine initiation into a new understanding, whether it's love or belonging or just your spiritual gifts. How is your soul's curriculum in this lifetime manifesting in your work, in your relationships, in your home life? And is there a way to dissolve, to let go of old dynamics, maybe old thought forms? I'm a doubter, y'all. I am such a cynic. I really am. Here I am doing tarot reading for you on the internet, right? But the truth is, I'm a prodigious cynic, and I always have been. I always doubt things first, and I'm just hearing like, can you let go of that already? Can you dissolve and be willing to be in a state of more faith and less doubt? It always makes sense in reverse, right? You look back and you go, oh, here's what was happening. Here's why I went through that. But it's really hard sometimes looking forward, and when you're in the thick, right? When you're in the weeds, it's hard to see that sometimes. So I just think we're really seeing here that this connection with the divine that maybe had felt like a duty previously, maybe had felt like something that you had to have, right? It's really ready to transform into something very alive, something very, very heartfelt, and where what's meant to be here is going to rise again in a better harmony and a better connection by letting go of what no longer needs to be carried forward and letting what is meant to be birthed into the present moment. And our card that goes with this is New Moon in Leo, and it just says, shine. Let yourself shine. Let yourself shine, loves. Don't worry so much about other people and whether they think you're too sparkly or not. Who gives a crap? Someone's always going to think you're too much. It doesn't matter how tiny a little box you try to put yourself into. There's someone out there who would say it should be even smaller if you gave them half a chance. So if you're going to be criticized anyways, if you're going to, have all of that anyways, just shine. Live your biggest and best and most authentic and juicy self in relationship with the divine. Let go of the limiting beliefs that have been keeping you from doing that. The divine is clearly saying here, this channeling is clearly saying today, with this energy of Tiresias, let yourself shine. Let yourself show the entire world the beauty of the spirit that incarnated inside of you in order to express the universe in this lifetime. That's what you came here for, so let yourself do it. We'll all be so glad you did. I hope this was helpful for you, loves. It was helpful to me. I actually had tears in my eyes a couple times. I think it's been a little bit of a tough start to the day here, but let's all let ourselves shine. Let's connect to that divinity. Let's let go of these negative thought forms, these self-limiting beliefs, and put ourselves out there and be the embodied mystics that we are. Love you so much. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please drop a like or subscribe or even share this reading. I'd love for my little baby channel to grow. Thank you so very much, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.